Ahimelech the priest did not inquire of the Lord. Every gossip puts a lot of supposition. They get in a foul spirit, they get in a bad spirit, and then things begin to come out of their mouths that are not even close to the truth. I have to tell people at times that's a lie. Everything you're saying, there's no truth in that at all. You feign that in the imagination of your own heart. It's not like that at all. That's not truth. You have no business even making a statement like that. And that's what Doeg's doing. He said in verse 10, he inquired of the Lord for him. Well, that wasn't true at all. You can read it there, account in the 21st chapter. And Ahimelech didn't inquire of the Lord. All he did was give David 5 loaves of bread and Goliath's sword. That's all he gave him. But Doeg just adds a whole lot more to it. He just begins to add a whole lot more to him. And then the king sends for Ahimelech the priest, and he repeats what the gossip said in verse 13. said, you've given him bread and a sword, and inquired of God for him. Why, Ahimelech said, why, David's the faithful man, and said in verse 15, said, did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Did you know when someone's made up their mind what they're going to do, you can tell them the truth, and it doesn't change them at all? They'll still do exactly what they plan to do. See, once they make up their mind to do what they're going to do, you can tell them the truth, and it doesn't change them at all. And the man of God told Saul the truth, said, I didn't begin to inquire of God for him. I didn't change Saul's mind at all. When a person's got their mind made up that they're against it, they're not for it, they're not going to have it, it doesn't make any difference what you say. You can't reason with them anymore. Saul was beyond the point of reason. You couldn't reason with him at all. He said in verse 15, did I then begin to inquire of God for him? He said, be it far from me. He said, let not the king impute anything unto his servant, nor to all the house of my father. He said, I know nothing of all this, more or less. Said, you're telling me things that's strange to my ears. He said, nothing like this has ever gone on at all. He said, nothing like this has happened at all. He said, where'd you get all of this? He said, who told you all of this in the first place? Said, where did they get it? He said, how do they know all of these things? He said, this is not so. And the king said in verse 16, he said, thou shalt surely die. See, once an individual's made up their mind, someone said, my mind is made up and thoroughly set, just like concrete. They said it's thoroughly mixed and permanently set, and there's just nothing you can do. And so no one would kill the priest. And finally in verse 18, the king said to Doeg, turn thou and fall upon the priest. And it's the gossip that will always turn around and try to finish his dirty work. It's the gossip that will always go a little farther than gossiping to destroy that they've tried to kill with their mouth. And the king said to Doeg, turn thou and fall upon the priest. And then Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priest, and he slew that day 85 priests of God that wore a white linen ephod. And Nob, the city of the priests, this man, Doeg, smote with the edge of the sword every man, every woman, every little boy, every little girl, every little baby, sucklings, all the oxen, the donkeys, the sheep. There was probably 500, 750, at least maybe 1,000, the priests, their wives, the retired priests, the children, others that had come in the city to live there. Could have been at least 1,000 people as a minimum that was slain that day. At least 1,000 people died. And the babies died. All of this was done by a worker of iniquity. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, the sons of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled unto David. And Abiathar, he brought the news to David what Saul had done to the Lord's priests. Now this is very important because many saints of God are looking for reasons to justify their rebellion.